and welcome. I'm Ellie Richardson and you are watching the World Report on NewsX World. We start with some breaking news with the US-Israel-Iran conflict. Israel's police have confirmed reports of fallen projectile debris in central Israel following an attack. Police forces, including EOD units, are currently operating in the field and conducting extensive searches of the impact sites. While no injuries have been reported at this stage, some property damage has been caused. Authorities are asking for cooperation from local residents and visitors in the impacted areas as they are working to neutralize any further threats and prevent additional risks to civilians. We are now being joined by retired Lieutenant Colonel Himanshi Singh, who's a defence and international relations analyst, joining us from New Delhi. Thank you so much for joining us here as we're going through these breakings tonight. So we've just heard that Israel's police have confirmed reports of debris in Israel following an attack. As we go through the day, we realise these attacks aren't just on military bases anymore. They're just attacks in general now. What do you think is going to be going forward through tonight with these attacks?
Good evening, Ellie. It is very, very disturbing that the entire Middle East is now converted into a kill zone and a war zone. Iran is hitting hard with Shahid drones and the missiles. And I really wonder what went wrong with Israel defense system of Iron Dome, because if the attacks are happening in Tel Aviv and Haifa and other places in Israel, then I think Israel needs to buckle up, because I think even after Iran cautioned America and Israel that the blowback is going to be very, very devastating and serious, they didn't take that threat very seriously. Iran was attacked, and Israel didn't go after the military bases only. What they hit was the symbols, the leaders' compound, the presidency. But Iran was much prepared, and they had geared up after the 12 days war, and they are getting support, technical support from North Korea, Russia, and China is somehow trying to economically back them up. So Iran is not in such a bad state as it is being discussed all over. It has not folded. They have been delivering what they promised. They have turned the entire Gulf into a kill zone. We've seen how swarms of drones are entering UAE. We've seen the 5th fleet that is in Bahrain being attacked, and other places wherever the American bases are. They are just trying to get after each and every country who has American bases. So I think nobody is a spectator in the Middle East now. Everyone is involved. How much they will be able to retaliate, that we have to see, because if American THAAD missiles were there, the defense system was there, then why they are not able to stop these attacks from Iran? That is $1 million question. And with Hormuz being closed, the prices will go up for the oil. The energy sector will face crisis. The insurance prices for ships will go up. So somewhere, it is not that only Iran is getting paralyzed with this attack. Somewhere the entire Middle East is burning, including Israel and other Gulf countries. And these countries, the economy runs on oil and tourism. We see a lot of tourists getting stuck in Dubai airports. The flights are cancelled. The airspaces are closed. It is getting very, very serious. So somewhere I think Iran is going to increase attacks, and retaliation will come from Israel and US also, because till now they was just trying to see the capacity of Iran. They have not just started, a full-fledged war as of now. This is just a warming up. It is going to be very, very serious and devastating for Iran and for the Middle East countries. Ellie.
And even though no injuries have been reported, what does the property damage indicate about the effectiveness, like you said, if there is American defences in the region, why aren't they using them? What could this mean for Israel's economy, really, and for civilians, their own people, their own residents, houses could now be put in danger?
Ellie, when there is war, we exactly don't know what is going to happen, and we cannot underestimate our enemy. If Iran was their adversary, Iran has already tested what Israel and America bring together. They were gearing up for this war for almost 7 months. They have tested hundreds of missiles in the Strait of Hormuz. See, nobody cares about the civilian lives. Nobody cares about who's dying. War is a war, and they want to actually have the collateral damage so that when civilians are dying, then everyone gets involved. Now, even the countries which are there in the Gulf, if people are getting stuck, they are dying on streets. And attacks are, if drones are attacking, and we have seen the visuals, how devastating it is. So the countries will try to pressurize America and Israel to pull back, which will not happen very soon, because the aim of Iran is something different. It is defending itself. Israel and America they will try to eliminate not just Khamenei, but the top military leadership. However, the property damage, they have tried to pinpoint a lot of places, but somewhere I feel either the systems are blind or they are not so effective as they were being talked about, because if the missiles are not falling pinpoint on the targets, or the defense system is not able to stop them mid-air and they're falling on the ground, somewhere the systems are compromised. And let me tell you, Ellie, Iran is also capable of major cyber attacks. Don't be very surprised if bio-warfare happens inside US, because earlier also Iran has intercepted and did lot of cyber attacks inside US. So they are quite capable. It is not just about property. It is not just about human life. It is also about the entire system, which is cyber-based, coming to a standstill if this war escalates. Ellie.
Thank you, Himanshi, but please don't go too far, as we'll join back with you very shortly. Next breaking coming up right now is the US Transportation Department has issued a warning for commercial vessels to avoid the Gulf region following heavy bombing attacks on Iran by the US and Israel. The warning applies to the Strait of Hormuz, Persian Gulf, Gulf of Oman and Arabian Sea, areas experiencing significant military activity. The department advised vessels to stay clear of the area where possible. Additionally, US flagged owned or crew ships are urged to maintain a distance of at least 30 nautical miles from any US military vessel to avoid being mistakenly identified as a threat. Meanwhile, the UK Maritime Trade Operation Agency reported receiving multiple reports from vessels in the Gulf about the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, but could not confirm these reports. The strait is a key oil export route, connects major Gulf oil producers like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, the UAE, to the Gulf of Oman and the Arabian Sea, making it a crucial choke point for global energy supplies. We are now being rejoined by Himanshi Singh. Thank you for rejoining us here for this development. If the Strait of Hormuz were to be fully or partially closed, how severely does this also affect global oil supplies and energy markets? Now, this isn't just this conflict isn't just affecting the Middle East now, and with Israel, Iran, and everywhere else. This could now affect global energy supplies.
Ellie, no doubt, Strait of Hormuz is very, very important, because the 20% of trade regarding the oil and energy happens from Gulf of Hormuz, Strait of Hormuz, and countries like mine, India and all, it is the 40% trade which happens from that. So it is actually a jugular vein. Earlier also, Iran had put naval mines a couple of years ago, and they were to be removed by the British Marine. See, all these countries, which are the oil producing countries, they use this particular Strait of Hormuz to export the oil. It is the only place, which can be used for transportation for oil. So if this gets closed, the oil prices will go up to $150 per barrel, and that will actually affect not just the Gulf countries but the entire world. We have seen how America has taken over the Venezuela. They have already put an embargo on Russian oil. So world is, as it is, facing energy crisis, and if you choke Strait of Hormuz, everybody in the world is going to suffer. The markets will rise up. And see, my country has a reserve for 74, 75 days, but not every country has that much, and we don't know for how long this war is going to last. See, till now, they are just talking about the Strait of Hormuz. Tomorrow, if the Houthis join this war and they close the Red Sea, the Suez Canal gets affected, then how we are going to, have this trade flow of not just oil, but other businesses also. So far, the militias, they have not yet, come openly to this war. But once they also join, so the two major trade routes, which are the sea routes, will get affected. America is a big power in terms of sea and air power, but it cannot beat Iran in Gulf of Hormuz. That is for sure.
Thank you, Himanshi, but please don't go too far as we will be joining back with you very shortly. More breaking news now. Iran has informed the United Nations that all US and Israeli bases, facilities and assets in the region are legitimate military targets. In a letter, Iran stated it will continue to exercise its right to self-defense until the aggression against it ceases fully and unequivocally, highlighting the escalating tensions in the region, the amidst ongoing military operations. We are now being joined by Keith Vaz, who's a former British minister, joining us from Dubai. Thank you so much, Keith, for joining us here today on NewsX World and for these local, for these developments coming in. As we just heard, Iran has informed the UN that it is targeting legitimate military targets. Now, as we know, especially in Dubai, it hasn't just been military targets. They've also been firing at other places. What do you take from this statement from Iran?
Good evening, Ellie from Dubai. I apologize for doing this interview at the back of a vehicle, but I've just left the Dubai city centre and I'm on my way to another Emirates, Sharjah, back to my hotel. To be frank, it's business as usual in Dubai. The fast was broken at 6:20. The shopping centre when I was in was acting perfectly normally. But as soon as people switch on their telephones, they do get into a very sad state, an upset state, knowing that as close to us as possible, on the palm, there was some kind of an explosion. Now, Iran, as you said, has made it very clear that it's targeting military places here, and those are military bases that are occupied by the Americans. The Palm is not such a base. It is a totally residential area, and therefore, to that extent, it is something that needs to be looked at as to why this has happened. It could well be because the situation is developing. It could be that they mistargeted where they were going to send their weapons. Nobody knows, because in a war, you don't really know a situation of that kind. But people are very tense here. Ordinary people I've spoken to in Dubai are worried about what's going to happen. It is totally and utterly unusual. The last time this happened, of course, the Emirates and Oman and other countries were not involved. This time, there is that involvement. Last time, they were told that there was going to be a strike on a military base. This time, it's just happened without notice. Now, these are, as you said, moving situations. You call it breaking news. It is the ultimate definition of breaking news when we don't know what's going to happen next. And therefore, people are very concerned and very worried about the situation. But the people of Dubai are not panicking. They are going about their business in the normal way. I have to tell you, for those of us trying to leave the country, not in a panic, but through scheduled flights, we can't do so because Emirates have closed, the UAE has closed their airspace. So there are no flights, no commercial flights out of here. And therefore we have to stay where we are because we cannot leave. So that is the situation we're in. A lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, but people going ahead and doing what they normally will do. I think the biggest problem is going to be those who want to go and come from this part of the world will not be able to do so because quite a number of countries have closed their space, airspace, and that means those people, the tourists who are there, cannot be allowed to leave the country. So this is a big worry at the moment.
Thank you, Keith. Please don't go too far, as I'll be back with you very shortly. Next update, Dubai International Airport and Al Maktoum International Airports have been shut down indefinitely due to Iranian missile strikes. Over 280 flights have been cancelled, with more than 250 delayed, causing massive disruptions to global aviation. Major carriers including Emirates, Etihad, Qatar Airways, Turkish Airlines and many others have suspended operations, while several routes have been rerouted or grounded due to closed airspace. In addition to the aviation chaos, a series of explosions rocked the iconic Palm Jumeirah in Dubai, causing injuries and a fire, though no fatalities have been reported. Iranian state media confirmed the attack, while the UAE Ministry of Defense reported the successful interception of Iranian missiles and drones. Meanwhile, the Embassy of India in Abu Dhabi has tweeted an urgent message to Indian passengers stranded at airports in UAE, urging them to stay informed. The airspace closure and ongoing conflict have raised alarms as the region braces for further developments. Dubai's economy, heavily reliant on connectivity, is now facing significant economic consequences as the UAE deals with the fallout from this attack. We're now being joined again by Keith Vaz. Thank you, Keith, for staying with us for this update. As you just mentioned as well, that the airspace has closed and over 280 flights have been cancelled, with more than 250 delay. Now, I could imagine, like you mentioned, there's a lot of anxiety in the region for people wanting to leave, with all these major airlines cancelling their flights. And like we said, the Palm being targeted isn't a airbase. We're now being joined by Alison Mutzler instead, former AP Borough Chief, joining us from Romania. Thank you, Alison, for joining us here for this breaking. Now, as I just said, we just heard about the airspace has now been closed in UAE, and there has been 280 cancellations, 250 delays. The anxiety must be up really high for residents and people who are maybe wanting to leave the country, and especially for the Palm to even be struck, which is definitely not a military base. What could you say on this matter?
Well, I mean, it shows how high the tensions are. Iran is striking. It's not just trying to protect itself or intercept missiles. It's striking, other countries, some of which are, are its allies, or or they have decent relations with them. And the fact they've struck a hotel, I don't know whether it was a mistake or whether they did it deliberately. And if they did, the only aim would be to cause chaos. I mean, the Emirates, they make a lot of money, from tourism, and there's a lot of. It's not just people who live there, but it's business people who visit to do business. There's a lot of influencers there. I think we've seen them all over the media today. That they go there for the sunny weather and the conditions they enjoy there, and the swimming pools and palm trees, etc., etc. And then suddenly this happens. It's a huge shock, and it sends shockwaves, and that's what they rely on is this kind of business, is this kind of this kind of activity. And a bomb striking a hotel of this, of this prestige, this repute, does just send shockwaves and anxiety, and it upends a way of life. These influencers have been there for several years. A lot of people want to go there, particularly from northern countries where it's winter at the moment, and so this is pretty shocking. As you say, it's certainly not a military site, but either it was either just a chaotic shooting, or it was deliberate. If it was deliberate, then it just shows the way that the Iranian regime is feeling, that it's just striking out, it's hitting out, it wants to retaliate. But everything is very volatile at the moment, and I think the Emirates is not the only place where they've closed their airspace. A lot of other countries have to. I think Israel, of course, Iran has to, but other countries too. It's very chaotic. The whole of the Middle East seems to be involved, and we're not even 24 hours into the first strikes. I mean, it's all unfolded incredibly quickly and incredibly chaotically, and there's no end in sight. There's all kinds of reports out there, conflicting reports about who's died, who hasn't died. This can't be confirmed. It's unraveling it's all, unfolding very, very quickly at lightning speed. And you just have to keep checking every few minutes to see what's happened, and see what missiles have struck, and what the latest developments are.
Thank you, Alison. We'll be back with you shortly. There has just been some more breaking news just come in. According to reports, a series of blasts were heard in Tehran. The origin of the explosions remains unknown. Iranian state media also reported the loud noises but provided no further details. The blast came after the US and Israel launched major strikes against Iran, heightening tensions in the region. More breaking news has just come in. The new strikes have hit the Jerf al-Nasser base in Iraq, which houses the pro-Iran armed group Kateb Hezbollah. The attack comes just hours after a previous strike killed 2 fighters. Reports from Hashid al-Shabi and Kateb Hezbollah confirmed the new attack. We are now being rejoined by Keith Vaz. Thank you, Keith, for rejoining us back here for these brand new developments. Now, we have just heard there's been more strikes in Tehran now, and in Iraq. What can this now tell us about Israel and the US? Are they stepping up their military to cause more damage now, do you think?
Well, let us be very clear, Ellie. America has the biggest military power in the world. So if America decides it's going to bomb a country, it can really do so with huge effectiveness. They've now joined up with Israel, which also has a very important defense capability, as well as the people of Israel being protected by this incredible dome that has been created over many, many years. So it's clear that the full might is not being used by the United States, because if it was going to do so, it would have used all their powers in order to achieve this. But this is not happening at the moment. We have these individual strikes, very carefully targeted strikes, which are occurring in all parts of the Middle East. I have left Dubai. I am now in the Emirate of Sharjah. I'm in my hotel, and there is, I have to tell you, complete calm here. You wouldn't even begin to think that there was these military actions taking place around us. It's just business as usual for them. Whereas I think amongst the people here, they are very concerned. They have got their eyes glued to their telephones and televisions to see exactly what is happening. It is very, very unusual for a country like the UAE to have any kind of military action being taken against it by any power. You will remember when there was the bombing of Qatar by the Israelis a few months ago, there was huge outcry, outrage by the Qataris, who saw themselves as being an ally of the Americans, and the promise being made by Benjamin Netanyahu that he would never bomb Qatar again. So we are now looking at a regional conflict, not a conflict that is particularly directed at Iran itself. Iran is fighting back, it's launching its missiles on other countries, on the bases, the American bases in those countries. So it is actually quite a dramatic turn over the last 24 hours. And as you've just said, Ellie, no one can fly out of Dubai Airport, one of the busiest airports in the world. Emirates has grounded all its flights. I was speaking to someone who is at Charles de Gaulle Airport in France, and they have been on the in the plane for the last 4 to 5 hours, waiting to take off for Dubai, and that has now been cancelled, and they've had to deplane. So, of course, there'll be a lot of economic consequences to this, a lot of chaos as a result of what's going on.
Thank you, Keith. Please don't go too far. We'll join back with you shortly. More breaking news has come in. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt today confirmed that President Trump has closely monitored the situation overnight at Mar-a-Lago with his national security team. The president reportedly spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu by phone before the attack. Secretary Rubio briefed members of the Gang of 8 on the situation, reaching 7 of the 8. Some more breaking news has come in. According to reports, Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and Qatar's Foreign Minister have called for an urgent return to political and diplomatic solutions to the escalating tensions between the US, Israel and Iran. The calls come as military actions continue in the region, with both ministers urging a peaceful resolution to avoid further escalation. That's all we have time for. Keep watching NewsX World for more updates from around the world.